is going on, Silver Squad? So this footage is a little older. It's about 2 weeks old. I saved some videos, you know, just in case I get a little behind on things. So the filming isn't as up to date as the current stuff. So this is like pre some of your guys' advice. So kind of going back to the basics and or back to the classics, I should say. So hope you enjoy the video. This is the stockpot. All right, it is time we take care of the temporary stockpot. Look at how full that bad boy is to the top. And I've got a little bit of gold here. Not much. Very minimal amount. But we're going to collect it all because I'm trying to gather all the gold that I have currently so I can start my 1 ounce journey. Triple refining that so it looks beautiful. Alright. So I got to go ahead and I'm going to, well, this is how I'm going to do it this time. So last time I poured everything out and then squirted the heck out of this with distilled water, trying to get it out of there. Mark G from Australia actually recommended, he's like, hey, instead of doing it that, because it's a pain in the rear, just put aqua regia in here, dissolve it out, pour it out as a liquid, spray a little bit out, call it a day. And you know what? I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. And let's see how much we can get. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and siphon this off. We've got to try to do this. See this here? Wait for it. Bam. Another set of the black gloves. I love these. I love these. Alright, let's get this off of here. Go ahead and decant it. So basically what I do with the decanting, I'm sure you've seen this a couple of different times. Basically just a piece of tube, fill it up with water, and then, yeah, you're going to siphon the liquid out of here and put it into our stockpot. So I just kink off the one side, dip that in here, and let her rip. And it's moving a lot faster than I am. Alright. We made it. Get this down pretty far. Quick pull it out. Alright. Alright, Mark G. We're going to give this a shot here. Let me go clean up my hose and we'll be back at it. Alright, let's see here. There's not a ton down there. There is a little bit. I'm not sure how much that's going to add up to actually. But we're going to find that out. And as you can see, there's a tone difference here. So like up here to down here. Whoa, what is that on? Oh, it just... must be from the water or something. That's not going to work. Alright, so you can, as I was saying, you can see the tone difference here. So some of the gold is stuck to the sides. I don't plan on filling this all the way up with hydrochloric acid just because there's not that much gold in here. So what I'm going to try to do is fill it up just enough to basically cover everything. We're probably still going to have some steel, ferrous sulfate. We're still probably going to have some SMB in there, so I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more, especially with the nitric. But I'm just going to try and swirl it around and see if I can get the majority of this off of there. So let's test it out. All right, I got my hydrochloric acid. It's not going to fit in there. I can tell you that right now. Let's see here. funnel barely fits. So I'm going to just hold this here and kind of gently dump this in here. And I think that's going to be more than enough. I don't think I'm going to try to heat this up at all because I don't know the consistency of this glassware. That does not belong there. Even, you know, that fit. This is what belongs there. Alright, so like I said, I don't know the consistency of this glassware, so I'm not going to test it with heat. So this may take a little while. Oh yeah, by the way, if anyone's interested in where I get my nitric, we don't need that anymore. It's not nitric, it is the temporary stock pot. Oh, who told me to do that? Who told me this? Let me know. One of the OGs. You're still here, you still comment. Alright, so let's add some nitric to this bad boy. This is gonna look funny. So, can you guess where I got my my temporary stock pot? I'm telling you what, I think I've got the best subscribers on YouTube. So I'm going to start with 3, and this is going to be really potent. 6 is going to have excess nitric, and I know that for sure. There's no question that all that 6 milliliters of nitric will dissolve all that. I want it to be kind of potent, so when I swirl it around, that I pick the stuff off the sides. And it's only 3 mils. Now, if it was going to be like 30 mils like I did, or let's see here, 60 mils like I did with the other silver stuff, no bueno. But alright, let's let that nitric do its thing. See if I can get some of that up on the sides. Alright, let's let it dissolve. See what happens. I may need to add more. I can't say that I've ever made aqua regia cold before, so this is going to be new to me. Alright, so I ended up putting it on the heat because I was not getting any reaction whatsoever. So it's on very, very low. I don't this isn't the same temperature that I would put my normal beaker and my normal solutions at. It was basically just kind of like to get the process rolling. So I don't recommend doing this. Let's see here. Looks like we've got a little bit of gold left in the bottom of that. I'm going to swirl that around a little bit. See if we can get some of that stuff off the sides. You know what? I think we're going to go pour this out. Alright, let's get this out of there. Oh, hold on. I got to get my gloves on. They're a little looser than the other ones, which is nice because they go in quick. But sometimes you can get 2 fingers in one finger spot, and then you're doing like this, you know. Well, anyway. Alright, let's grab that gold. Like I said, I wouldn't try this. You know, I wouldn't recommend it anyway, because I don't know what this is made out of, this glass here, and I would hate for somebody to think this was a good idea and lose their gold, because that would not be cool. Alright, I'm just going to let that kind of sit here. Let those fumes come up and out. And let's say this is our gold right here. we're gonna cook it now, just to see if we can reactivate some of that nitric and possibly dissolve any real fine gold. It does look a little cloudy, so I'm not sure if that's really fine gold or if that's other substances in there. All right, let's go ahead and put some ice in this bad boy, cool it down, see if we can drop any silver chloride off, if there's any left. And actually, before it gets too cold, and we got a little bit of reaction, so we got some leftover nitric, which I was definitely thinking was going to happen. But this will also make sulfuric acid. And that being said, if there's any lead that it's made that far into the stock pot, that will also fall out of solution. So we should have some pretty nice clean gold. Stir that around a little bit. I can see there's some on the bottom. Alright, we're going to let that cool down a little bit. And while this is cooling, we're going to prep some ferrous sulfate. Get that out of the way. Alright, ferrous sulfate. Let's get a couple scoops in there. I still have a little bit left in my beaker, or I should say my flask, from the previous go around. But I'm not sure if it's going to be enough or not. So we're going to go ahead and just make some more. I'm not sure if it goes bad while sitting in the flask, still dissolved. So I guess we can check that out too. Maybe not this go around, but in a future experiment. We'll fill that up and throw that bad boy on the heat. Alright, we'll go ahead and let that dissolve. By the time that is done, the solution should be nice and cool. So if we've, like I said, if we've got any silver chloride in there, we'll drop that bad boy out. And then we'll move on to the filter. Alright, let's go ahead and filter this bad boy out. See if I can get a picture here. There you go. There's the silver chloride. Must not have put enough ice in there. Well, we'll just filter that bad boy out again. I'd rather have it out there than when we precipitate it out. Alright, and in the second flask here, you can see we got some good floaties on top. I'm going to go ahead and filter this out. My ferrous sulfate. And that's going to take a little while because we don't have any vacuum to it, but that's alright because we're going to have to filter this gold out one, maybe two times. We'll see here in a minute anyway. It's looking pretty clean actually. Well, the rest of it anyway. It was just that first initial drop that seemed to come out of there. So let me get you a close-up. You can see that. actually not too bad. A little cloudy yet. Alright, so we're just finishing up the first filter of our gold here. I'm going to pour it off, see what it looks like in the beaker. Sometimes these hold a lot of humidity, and it's down here in the basement. And then they get kind of foggy. There you go. See how much nicer that looks in the clean beaker? Alright, well, we got this plugged up here. So we're going to go ahead and run this again. Let's see here. Actually, going to go ahead and rinse this out just in case anything settled to the bottom. And that filter is pretty much well plugged, so we're gonna get we should get a pretty clean solution after this go. Let's see here. Put that back in there. Put my hose back on, and let's let it filter. Alright, well, I'll get back to you when this is done. We still got a little bit more to filter, but woohoo, that looks good. Alright, it's all filtered out now, ready to roll. Just 2 filters, and we got our solution nice and clean. Now, I don't know how much gold is going to be in here. I don't think it's going to be a ton. Just because it is the stock pot. It looks like there's a little bit of sediment on the bottom that happened to settle. So I'm not going to put the rest of this in here. I'll go ahead and put that in. I've got a little bit with silver chloride. That I've been putting the last little bits in there just to avoid from putting it in here and then having to deal with it. So alright, we've got a little bit of ferrous sulfate, my newfound friend, filtered out. So let's go ahead and dissolve this bad boy. Or actually, not dissolve, but drop the gold. Yep, definitely not a very strong reaction. There's a little bit of gold in there. There's a little bit. We got a good color change. Not as fast as the other stuff was. A lot of that stuff was colloidal gold to deal with, so this is going to help that significantly. Woohoo! Look at that! So we got a 1,000 milliliter beaker here, and we got a pretty nice chunk coming out of that. Well, I think you know what's next. Yep, the scientific straw. Let's break that bad boy out. All right, little piece of filter paper. Let's see here. Putting it in the wrong end. Let's see. Give you a little squeeze. Maybe. It's being not nice today. You ever gotten your butt kicked by an inanimate object? I have. Oh, well, I'm using the wrong scientific straw. No wonder why I'm getting my butt kicked. Alright. You need 2 cuts in there. Alright, let's see if that works a little better. There it is. See, scientific straw, baby. Grab some Stannis. There we go. All right. Did we get all of the gold out of there? I would have to say that's a go. We have got all the gold. Beautiful. All right, let's clean this bad boy up. See what it looks like. I'm really curious. Really curious here. Nice and gentle with it. So the gold is a little on the thin side. Not nearly as bad as what we were dealing with though. Alright, well, it's still pretty thin and there's not a lot in there. Well, let's see what we can get. And we're gonna go ahead, put that on the heat plate. See if we can get that to a boil. My hopes is that we can get it to stick together, but it still looks a little on the dark side, so I imagine there's still some other contaminants in there. That gold we were dealing with was not good by any means. There was a lot of really fine stuff that ended up in there, but it actually stayed on the bottom this go around with the ferrous sulfate versus, like, if I know if I used SMB on that, I would have been dealing with that colloidal gold again, and it's just such a... Alright, so after the first boil here, we're going to go ahead and let this settle, and looks like it's sticking together a little better. It's still pretty brown, so we're definitely going to have to do a, let's see, we're definitely going to have to do, that's on the bottom side, a couple hydrochloric baths. Well, let's see what we can do with the distilled water, see where we can get this to look like. Alright, let's pour this off. Yeah, it's not much gold down there, there's no question about that. It needs to settle again. I gotta set it up on something. Alright, let's pour this off. Gotta feed the temporary stock pot just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, there's not much gold in here. That's alright. We'll add it to the collection. Let's see here. A little bit more in. Alright. Boil number 2. Well, I'll come back to you when I do. I'm going to do one more of these, and then we'll do the hydrochloric, see what we can get. How cleaned up it looks anyways, and then we'll go ahead and melt it up. Alright, we've been boiling here for a little while. Let that settle. I think I'm going to try and get this. There we go. It's starting to look like gold now. That's a recognizable color. Keep that on a slant. There we go. Justin, you got to hit me up. I'd like to talk about that idea you got. Alright, so I moved my little bit of gold to a smaller beaker, 50 milliliter. It was getting a little crazy to deal with the amount of gold in the thousands, so I figured cleaning up this little bit that we got in here would be much simpler. This is the first hydrochloric boil. See, it's still pretty dirty. We'll do one more just to make sure that it stays nice and clean, and then I'll do 3 more rinses. I'll melt our little button. It's going to be a very small amount, no question about that, and then I'll show you what we got. So here is the first boil of hydrochloric acid. Look at that. I don't know what that is, but that looks metallic for sure. See if I can get that to... Look at that. That looks metallic. Interesting. So whatever it was, falls down to the bottom of the beaker when you spray it. You can see the big chunks there. Interesting. Well, we'll let that settle and then pour it off, and then we'll put another coat of, or we'll do another boil of hydrochloric acid and start to clean it up with some distilled water. Alright, here is the second hydrochloric boil, and we still have, I have no idea what it is on top. You can see it floating there, it's real fine. No idea what that is. I'm not even sure how to get rid of it at this point. So, it's got to be metallic. It has to be metallic. It's got to be metal. Very fine metal sitting on top. And that color sitting on top like that, I don't know. I'm thinking we got other precious metals other than gold in there. So we're going to let this settle. I'll try to rinse it off as best I can. We may have to dissolve this twice. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do all that yet. Especially with the 1 ounce we have to dissolve already. So let's just rinse this off as best we can, see if we can get rid of that off, flush it off out of there. And then, you know what? I think I actually have an idea for this. Hold on. Alright, so here's the plan of attack here. I'm going to attempt to pour water in here. It's I can't say it's hydroscopic or hydrophobic. But it does float on top of the water's surface. So what I'm going to attempt to do is pour the water in up and over this beaker here, and then have it fall into the bigger beaker. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Let's give it a shot. All right. Alright, I still see a little bit of floaters on top. Alright. Let me get, hold on, let me get my gloves on. Alright. I don't know if I'll be able to get that. So it went fairly smooth. I did lose a little bit of footage. I don't know if I ran out of space in my phone while I was recording, and it cut off. But this is what we ended up with. Little peanut of gold. Look at that thing. Tiny, tiny, tiny. It's less than a gram. It's nothing really crazy. But we got it, right? And so all that stuff in the stock pot was all colloidal gold that would, come off during real dirty solutions. So it looks really fluffy when it's in there in the bottom of the stock pot. But then when you drop it out and you get an actual gold molecule that you could work with, or a gold drop that you could work with, it shows its true colors, which is a very small amount. So, as always, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.